Welcome, everyone, to the Barclay Radebaugh Show. Thank you so much for coming out to the Zaxby's in North Charleston. My name is Andrew Allegretta. Barclay Radebaugh could not be here this week, so we have assistant coach Bob Ritchie sitting in. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach.
Glad to be here, Andrew.
We'll talk a little bit about the week that was. We'll get to the week that's coming up, Winthrop and PC. It's a big-time weekend for you, two teams that you've played already, Winthrop and PC. You beat them both. Winthrop, you're tied with them in the standings, so that's coming up a little bit later. So is Johathan Brooks, one of your better forwards. But let's talk about the week that was, playing VMI and Liberty. What were your overall takeaways from those two games, Coach?
Well, we'll start off with the game on Thursday night. Obviously, one of the things that we've really talked to our team about this year is to protect our house. And with two games coming into the Buck Dome, we really wanted to get off to a win on Thursday night, playing in a little bit of a atypical game versus VMI, very open floor, very fast-paced. They shoot it very quick. They don't play a ton of defense. We knew that we had to do a good job of controlling the tempo, playing good defensively, but also trying to stick to our game plan offensively because they can make you play so fast that you kind of get away from what you're trying to do. Did a great job of it. Jamarco had a terrific game with a 33-point effort, but we also had 5 guys in double figures. And I thought that our guys just stayed poised offensively, played together really well. We shared the basketball. We took advantage of some deficiencies they had in their defense, and we did a good job of getting that win. Defensively, it wasn't our best performance, but they tend to do that to teams, and that's why they're leading the country in scoring. They can really, really shoot the basketball. They can really, really drive the basketball. They play small. They put some matchup problems out there on the floor for you, and they gave us some problems. But at the end of the day, shooting 61% from the floor as a team was able to overcome anything that they were able to do to us, and it gave us a win.
I mean, 61% from the floor is fantastic. Of course, your numbers are going to be higher playing VMI than they would be against any other team, but is 61% even higher than you would expect normally against VMI for you guys?
Well, you know, we talked a lot about it as a team is to take what they're going to give you, and we felt like that they focus on offense so much that they're going to give you some paint penetration. They're going to give you some easy lanes to the hole, and we really wanted to take advantage of that. We wanted to shoot in the mid to high 50s. That was the goal going into the game. So obviously to be able to shoot 61%, that was just a great effort by our guys. And if anybody was there to see the game, they were very easy shots. And our guys did a great job creating for others, getting the ball to the rim. Anytime the game got close, we got a great drive by one of our guys that led to an easy basket. And, you know, they cut it to 3, called the timeout. Jamarco gets the penetration, gets the and 1. Now it's back up to 6. You know, just had a bunch of plays like that in the course of the game that were able to really help us out.
I mean, how difficult is playing VMI? Because I think one thing that's interesting is they play so different. It's almost difficult to carry that game into another game. You know what I mean? You can take the momentum, but you can't necessarily take any sort of schemes or anything like that, correct?
Very true, and it also affects your preparation for the game. And to be honest with you, the only way we prepare for VMI is you basically scrimmage. You know, you go out there and you say, hey, here's what you're going to see. Here's how we want to defend it. Here's what we want to do offensively. And you go out there and it's a full court scrimmage because there's no way to simulate it. And so it is difficult, and then you got to turn around. The toughest thing about it with having those two teams that weekend, you got to turn around and play it now a team that is very half court, that is very slow you down, that doesn't want you, you know, so it's black and white. And to play VMI and then turn around in a 2-day prep and play Liberty, it was a tough assignment.
Yeah, Barclay Radebaugh is not able to be here this week. Bob Ritchie, the assistant coach for CSU, joins us. Do the guys enjoy playing VMI?
They love it. They love it because it's just, to be honest with you, it's almost like
it's like going back to street ball a little bit, right?
Well, it's what they did in AAU. You know, you just get out there and you just
have fun.
You're just having a good time, and that's why VMI has been able to recruit some kids to that military institute that are above them because they can go out and sell a fun way to play.
Right.
The problem is they don't guard anybody. And
it's like Mike D'Antoni for the Knicks or something. They're just running up and down the court.
Yeah, they're trying to score early. They're trying to score fast. They're trying to wear you out. They're trying to get you to play faster than you want to play. And hopefully they're so used to playing at that pace over the course of the game, it wears you out.
Yeah.
And we've had some success. That's 3 wins in a row versus VMI. And hopefully we can continue that success.
Yeah, streaks are very the norm. I think the first 5 went to VMI in this series. Next 5 went to you. Next 7 went to them. Next 3 went to you guys. So hopefully you can build it up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and keep that trend going for the years to come. Now, Liberty was certainly a different style of game. What did you take overall, recapping the weekend from VMI and Liberty? You beat VMI, you lost to Liberty, you sit tied for third, 7-6 in the Big South standings. So what did you take overall from the Liberty game?
Well, the first thing to say about the Liberty game, obviously that hurt, and I think anybody that was there, anybody that saw it understands that. Our team knows that. We had a great team meeting today. We had a really, really good practice. And basically, we spent a lot of time just looking over some clips over the past couple games, mainly the High Point game and mainly the Liberty game. And we showed our guys that, if you look at the rebounding margin, it's a direct correlation of what's happening in these games. And in the games where we've out-rebounded our opponents, we've won all of them. In the games that we've been out-rebounded, we've lost all of them except 2. And we've really
Which 2 are those, by the way?
Georgia Tech and Coastal Carolina. So obviously you can see the correlation, and it's a matter of, in a game like that, when you're playing Liberty, they're very, very good. And the reason Liberty's only lost twice in this league is because they don't make a lot of mistakes. And they're going to capitalize on your mistakes. And yes, we did have the 11-point lead, but we knew at halftime they were going to make a run. They've just done it too much over the course of the year. And you're going to get in a possession ball game, and now the box outs are so important. The missed assignments on defense are so important, and just trying to find advantages over the course of the game, they make it tough for you. And we got beat up on the boards in the second half, and we weren't able to generate some stops. And we're best when we're able to get some stops and play in transition. That's when our guys play the best. We're athletic. We can run. We can finish. And we got to get stops to generate that transition game. And so we've really tried to dumb it down this week and just say, going into this weekend here, we got one goal. And we're going to go win the battle on the boards, and we're going to be physical, and that's Winthrop PC, go win the rebounding battle, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are 2 teams that'll be difficult to do that because they are both very physical. This is the Barclay Radebaugh program. Bob Ritchie sitting in for Barclay Radebaugh. Also, I thought was interesting in the Liberty game is certainly Jesse Sanders asserted himself more in the second half. He was quiet in the first half. He was more dominant, did more of his drives, was able to dish a little bit more. Do you feel like he was more of a presence in the second half at all? It seemed to me like he started to assert himself a little bit more.
I didn't think that Jesse necessarily had an effect on that game that necessarily won the game for him. I thought that their interior was what pushed that game over the top for those guys. I thought that John Brown on the boards and Vanderpool on the boards and kind of the ugly points that they were able to generate was what cost us that game. But obviously Jesse gives some of our guards some problems, just putting his shoulder down, driving the ball to the paint, finding an open guy. He doesn't always make the play that necessarily gets on the stat sheet, but he makes a play that's going to make another play that's going to get on the stat sheet. Very good player, and to be honest with you, we hate playing against him because he's just so heady. He's just so tough. He's going to defend. He's going to push the ball down your throat. He's going to find an open guy. He's going to capitalize on any mistake you make.
I also think, too, some of the things that were interesting down low maybe is sometimes your athleticism with Brooks and Kelvin Martin, a little bit smaller than the Liberty guys, but they showed their athleticism. And on the other side, sometimes it was the size of Joel Vanderpool and some of the other big guys that kind of took over. That was an interesting swing to see sometimes the size matter and sometimes see the athleticism matter down low.
Yeah, I thought, personally, to be honest with you, I thought Brooks had an unbelievable game. I thought his effort was tremendous. I thought that if you were to look at all those post players during that game, he was the most valuable post player on the court. He just needed another guy that game to step up. And we were playing Kelvin some at the 3. And to be quite frank with you, we weren't able to get that other guy in that game to be able to dominate on the boards like we needed to, especially when Kelvin got hurt late in the game. Kenny didn't have one of his better games of the year. And, like you said, with Vanderpool, he's such a mismatch for some of our undersized, like Troy Pierce and some other people like that. It's a tough matchup for him. But, we just, at the end of the day, you look at it, and they beat us on the boards by 8. And to be honest with you, I mean, John Brown, 6'4"? The other big kid, Burris, they have 6'5". Then you also got, Vanderpool really is the only one that you would say would give us a
6'10",
size.
I think is his height.
I'd say 6'10", 6'9", somewhere in there. But, he was the only one that really gave us a size difference. I just think that there was some balls there that they just kind of willed it, and they were able to get their hands on some balls that we didn't get too late. And, give them all the credit. But I did think that in terms of activity, in terms of effort, I thought Jonathan Brooks had a tremendous game. And I think if we would have just had another guy to match that, I think we'd be sitting here and having a different conversation right now.
Brooks comes up a little bit later in the program. He'll be in our third segment. Our second segment, is next. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Winthrop and PC games coming up next. Speaking with Bob Ritchie, the assistant coach for CSU. Barclay Radebaugh could not make it tonight. Happy to have him in Barclay's absence, and it continues next on ESPN 910. Welcome back to the Barclay Radebaugh program here on ESPN 910. My name is Andrew Alec, right alongside Bob Ritchie, sitting in for Barclay Radebaugh. Could not be here this week. Fans, don't forget to go to CSUsports.com as well to check out all of your CSU sports information, and you can check out the games coming up this week. We got Winthrop and we got PC, two huge games. I know coaches' mantras, they all mean the same, but Winthrop, a team you're tied, three-way tie, third place. This is such a huge game for you on Thursday.
Well, they are all big. Every game's a big game, especially when you get in this conference. The interesting thing, Andrew, that probably most people don't know is every year in college basketball, they have what they call the RPI. And the RPI is an index that ranks every single basketball team 1 through 345. And they also take those averages and they give your conference a ranking according to those averages. And out of 34, 35 conferences, usually the Big South is in, anywhere from 24, 25, 26 range. And what most people don't know is right now the Big South is sitting in 17th place, which puts you right in the middle of the pack. And it's become such a competitive season. We've got really, really good teams in this league. I think that anytime you go on the road, it doesn't matter who you play, whether it's going to be your Radfords, your Gardner-Webbs, your Winthrops, your Coastals, whoever you play that night, you're going to their home site. They have the advantage. And I think you're going to have to turn your intensity up. You're going to have to refocus, and you're going to have to go, and you're going to have to win an ugly game. And most of the time when you see guys in conference go get a win, it's usually an ugly win. It's like our game at Radford. It was an ugly win, but you came out and you got a win. You go get on the bus and you go to the next one. VMI, same deal. We went in there and we manhandled them on the boards. We didn't shoot the ball great, but we played good enough defense and we got out of there with a win. And I think these two games are going to be the same thing. I think it's going to come down. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be something that we're going to go in there and shoot 65%. We're going to have to go in there. We're going to have to defend. We're going to have to go in there. We're going to have to rebound. And we're going to have to get on the bus, and we're going to have to go to the next one.
Yeah, you bring up the RPI, which is it's a formula that I don't have any intention of getting into or trying to explain. But for the Big South, it's up there this year. And there is such a clutter in that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spot. It can go any different direction. I know Coastal sort of certainly extended themselves. So has Liberty so far. But between you guys, UNC Asheville, Winthrop, High Point sneaking in there a little bit. They're on a little bit of a run right now. So at the very least, you've put yourself as a team, despite some of the games that you thought you could have won and didn't end up winning, despite all that, you guys are in the position to accomplish what you want, and that's have a home first-round Big South tournament game. So at the very least, you have to be pumped up, and you have to be motivated at this time of the season. I mean, you got to be excited.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question. That's why we do this. That's why players play. That's why coaches coach. It's an opportunity to compete, an opportunity to position yourself to win a championship. And I think with a first-round home conference tournament game, you're only making your chances that much better. And it allows you, with the home court advantage that we have, only losing one game all year in our house, and that was by 1 point. I think it would be a distinct advantage to have that first-round game here. And obviously these next 3 games are going to be a huge deciding factor in that, because we're going to play 2 of the teams that we're currently tied for right now. And it's going to be a big stretch. You know, we took an extra day off this week to prepare for it. We took Sunday off. We took yesterday off. And we went at it today. But we got to get ready for 3 games in 5 days. And, you know, it's going to be hard. It's going to be exhausting. But I think our guys are up to the challenge. And just like we talked in the earlier segment, we tried to really – you know, anytime you're looking at the big picture, you want to focus in on a few things. That, hey, this is what we got to do to be successful. And you know, we talked a lot about that in the past few days, and I think our guys are up for the challenge. We had one of our most competitive practices of the year today. And,
yeah, I was going to say, I mean, back-to-back games is not new. That happens all the time. But to have 3 games in 5 days, how much more difficult is that? And I guess give us a little bit of a flavor on what it takes as a coaching staff and as a team to get ready for 3 games in 5 days. How do you break down the schedule?
Well, fortunately, this is the second round through it. If it was the first round through it, it'd be a much tougher challenge. But we've played everybody 1 time already. We've done a scouting report on every single team. You're not going to see a ton of change in between the first time you play them to the second time you play them. So we've got all the scouting reports done. We obviously go back and we watch the past 3 or 4 games of each team we play. We do that well in advance. And you formulate your game plan. You look at your first game plan. Hey, what worked? What didn't work? You kind of tinker with it a little bit. And obviously right now our focus is on Winthrop. We want to go get this Winthrop game. It's a huge game for us. Historically, we have not won up there. It's a big opportunity for our program.
Not many teams have. I mean, that's a powerhouse program, at least in the mid-2000s in this conference.
I definitely agree with that statement, but we've also gone up there the last 2 years and had chances to win. And it's another challenge that we're putting out there in front of our guys is that 2 years ago you lost a big lead up there. You lost late. Last year they had a big lead. We came back and we had a chance to win. Let's go up there this year and let's get the job done. And we feel like we know what we got to do to go do that. They are a very good team. They're a very physical team. They're a very talented team. But we got to look at the things we did successful at home. But there were also some things we didn't do really well at home, and we tried to really fine-tune those and focus in on what those are to give us an advantage up there. And it's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be an unbelievable basketball game. 2 teams competing for an opportunity to bump themselves up, like you said, and try to not be tied for third, but try to get that third-place spot all to ourselves.
You talked a lot about rebounding. This is Bob Ritchie. It's in place of Barclay Radebaugh this week. He could not be here this week, so happily having Coach Ritchie with us. But you talked a lot about rebounding in the first segment here, and I'm sure it's going to come down to rebounding. So I guess kind of give us a little bit of a preview on how you feel like your bigs match up with their bigs. What kind of game will that be down low?
Oh, it's going to be a war. It's going to be an absolute war, and I say that because they're playing much better than they were a month ago. Winthrop is playing good ball right now. You can see that they've really focused in on, hey, we're going to be better defensively. We're going to be better on the boards. And they've done a much better job of playing Winthrop basketball. And historically, like you've said, they've dominated our league basically with those 2 things, defense and rebounding. They're going to look at the stat sheet from our first game and see that we out-rebounded them by 10. And it's going to be a challenge that they're going to put before themselves. Hey, we got to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's just going to come down. They've got very good post players. They've got big, strong, physical guys. And it's going to come down to who imposes whose will on who.
It's all mentality,
It's
right?
all mentality.
Yeah.
It's all mentality. And obviously, anytime you go to their place, it's easier to have a focused, comfortable mentality when you're at home. You got to bring an extra little edge with you when you go on the road. And so that's why today, it was fun in there today. It wasn't chippy. It wasn't crazy. It was just good, solid, competitive basketball. And our guys were boxing out. Our guys were playing physical. We were finishing inside. We were playing together. We had some energy, and I think that's important right now. When you go on the road, as we sit here and talk, and we could go over game plan, and we could. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to who's going to put the energy on the floor for 40 minutes.
So what did you guys do in practice today?
Well, it's a typical practice. I mean, you have at this point in the year, it's not something.
I didn't know if you broke out the pads, or you did one drill where you had rakes up at the rim, so the guys in the low post can battle through going up in hand. I didn't know if you did anything different or unique.
We stuck to our routine, and we stuck to our routine, and we just had to focus in on, hey, here are some things that we got to make sure we do well. And it was a defensive-oriented practice, but we were able to put a few segments of offense in there as we worked on our defense. But we had our normal skill work to begin practice. We had some transition drills, and then we worked on our multiple defenses and just tried to do some things to bring some energy, to make it not so routine. Because by now, Andrew, you've practiced 60, 65 times. And with these guys, I mean, they can't make it. A lot of times the attention span right now, they think they're getting the same thing over and over again. Yeah. You just try to do some new things to try to bring that energy level back up. And it was just good. It was good. And the guys, I think they enjoyed it. And I think they're in a good mindset. And just like we talked about, that's important going into a game like this and going on the road.
Speaking with Bob Ritchie, assistant coach for Charleston Southern, Barclay Radebaugh could not make it this week for the Barclay Radebaugh program on ESPN 910. We do this each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m., so thank you so much for joining us. Now, can you tell them on Thursday, hey, remember that practice we had on Tuesday? Remember how fun that was? Can you say to them, let's just do that again?
Yeah, it's going to be talked about. As we put our game plan down and talk to them about the mentality that we want to have. But to be honest with you, Andrew, they know that. They know that. They know it's going to be a hostile environment. They know it's going to be a tough environment. They know they're going to have to bring an edge to them, and they're going to have to bring some energy. And I think the task has been laid out before them. And with the leadership that we have and the guys that we have, we've got some good kids. And I fully expect them to come out there Thursday with the right frame of mind and follow that over into Saturday and then bring it back home Tuesday and have another war. It's going to be 3 wars.
And again, the situation you have right now for Charleston Southern is a 3-way tie for third with Winthrop, UNC Asheville, and of course you guys at 7 and 6. Winthrop is Thursday. UNC Asheville comes up on Tuesday with PC in the middle, so it's going to be a fun week. Coach Ritchie, your first time on the radio program, how'd you feel? You all right? I mean, you cool customer. You did all right.
I mean, you know,
is it at least enjoyable? I mean,
this
wasn't a chore for you, was it?
No, I mean, just hanging out with
a little bit.
You brought me a Coke. You know, I'm good. A little Coke Classic, and time to hang out with Andrew. Everything's good.
All right, Johathan Brooks is next on the program. Stay with us on ESPN 910. Welcome back to the Barclay Radebaugh program. It's over with Barclay Radebaugh. In this case, it was Bob Ritchie this week sitting in for Coach Radebaugh. Now it's Johathan Brooks' time. How's it going?
Good.
Okay, it's good. All right. It's good. Good stuff. That's what we like to hear. Tell us a little bit about how you came to Charleston Southern before we get to the season or anything like that, but your transfer, this is your first year here at Charleston Southern, came from College of Coastal Georgia. Tell us a little bit about your experience, and I think it was Coach Jones that brought you on, right?
Yes. Coach Jones actually coached me my freshman year when I went to Okaloosa Walton in Florida, another JUCO, and, you know, he told me keep working hard and keep my game sharp, and he would come back for me, and, you know, he kept his word and came back and recruited me to come here last year when I was at the College of Coastal Georgia, and, you know, it's been
Tell us a little bit about your experience at those two schools in terms of, you know, what you were able to learn, what you were able to grow with, and how it's helping you this year.
Well, my freshman year, coming out of high school, I really wasn't a post player. I was just kind of tall, so
did they stick you at like a 3, a wing guard position or something like that, and kind of let you use the athleticism?
Honestly, in high school, I played like every position.
Did you play point?
Yeah, I had to handle the ball. It was a lot of games that, you know, the coach came out and said that you're gonna have to handle the ball tonight. So, I mean, I've done it all, and, you know, my freshman year, I had to learn to play the post. It wasn't no more playing the point guard, so I really had to learn to play the post. And Coach Jones worked me real hard, and, you know, taught me a lot of things that I'm still using now.
How difficult was that transition from being kind of any kind of position player where you'd go from handling the ball to down low to being a sole post player? What kind of transition, how difficult was that for you?
It was hard. It was hard, you know. With my smaller frame, you know, it was hard playing against some of the bigger guys, but, you know, just I put in a lot of work and, you know, worked really hard and got better.
What's the biggest player you've ever played against?
7-footer.
7-footer?
Yeah.
Was that back in JUCO?
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you? I mean, how did you handle it? I mean, because you have a certain athleticism that you can exploit, correct?
Yeah. I mean, it was an experience. I mean, of course he was a lot bigger than me, but with him being so big, he was slower than me, so I was able to use my quickness, you know, to my advantage.
You have a good day against him?
Yeah, I had a pretty good average day. Is
that in a double? I mean, are we talking like 10 to 15 points or something like that?
Probably like 10 and 7 or something like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah. Not bad, especially going up against a guy that, I mean, you're what, 6'6", something like that?
6'6", 6'7".
Yeah. So I mean, you got a guy that's 3, 4, 5 inches taller than you, handling him pretty well. That's not bad. So how about your season so far this year? Speaking with Johathan Brooks, forward for the Charleston Southern basketball team, how about your season this year, your first year here at Charleston Southern? How do you feel like it's gone?
Started off kind of slow, honestly, you know, but as the season progressed, I think things have gotten a lot better, you know, just learning the team, learning the coaches, things, and working hard in the gym. Things have gotten a lot better.
What's the biggest stride you've made so far?
I feel my rebounding, you know. I've always been a pretty good rebounder, but, you know, I really focused on, you know, the techniques and what I really had to do to become a good rebounder. So I think that's the thing I've improved the most.
So are you excited for this week against Winthrop a little bit then, considering the fact that Bob Ritchie was just on for the past 20 minutes, assistant coach for Charleston Southern, talked a lot about the rebounding this weekend against Winthrop and PC?
Yeah. It's gonna be a big weekend. You know, that's one thing that we're gonna really have to do hard. Box out, rebound. That's gonna be some of the key components in beating these guys this weekend.
So how excited are you for this stretch run? A situation where you find yourself tied for third, 7-6 with Winthrop and UNC Asheville. You play both of those teams once on Thursday and then on Tuesday with UNC Asheville being Tuesday. How excited are you for this stretch run to get something done that hasn't happened very often at Charleston Southern?
I'm really excited just to be able to be a part of this. You know, it's a great experience, and you know, like I said, this is gonna be a big weekend. You know, I'm hoping that we come out with 2 wins this weekend, and we just got to come and play hard.
I look forward to it. Thank you very much, Joe Hatham Brooks, for your time here on the Barclay Radebaugh program. The stress is over. You don't have to worry about the people here at Zaxby's. It's good. You can take the headset off. We're done here on the Barclay Radebaugh program as well. We thank everyone from coming out to the Zaxby's in North Charleston. My name is Andrew Allegretta. Again, we do this each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. here on ESPN 910. Fans, don't forget to go to csusports.com to get your update on this week's games against Winthrop, PC, and then Tuesday against UNC Asheville back inside the Buck Dome, and csubuckclub.com to support Charleston Southern Athletics. The broadcast starts for Winthrop at 6:45 on WJNI. Tip-off is at 7. Until then, take it easy, everyone.